I must use this latest iPhone 17. Unless my name is not Chidinma. A story written by Christy Midnight Tales. Chidinma was just 22, a final-year student in Abuja whose dreams were far louder than her pocket could ever afford. She wasn't lazy. She worked part-time at a fashion store in Woods, took classes during the week, and still found time to braid her roommate's hair for small money. But in a city where your phone spoke before you did, she always felt invisible. Her phone was an old iPhone 8, screen cracked like a spider web. Sometimes, when she tried to take pictures, the front camera blurred out half her face. Her friends laughed about it playfully, but every time she saw them pull out their sleek new iPhone 15s and 16s to take mirror selfies, something inside her burned. She didn't say it out loud, but she had made up her mind. She must get an iPhone 17. In her world, an iPhone wasn't just a gadget. It was achievement, a ticket into the circle of girls who posted luxury perfumes. She was tired of being the one who took the group pictures instead of being in them, tired of being the one whose WhatsApp status nobody replied to, tired of struggling to belong. Her mother, back home in Saka, called her every Sunday to pray with her. "Chidinma, my daughter, please don't envy what you don't understand. Some things that glitter on people's phones are blood-soaked in real life." Chidinma would always smile, nod, and say, "Amen, Mama," but her heart was already far gone. One afternoon after class, she scrolled through Instagram and saw one of her classmates, Nancy, showing off a brand new iPhone 17. The caption read, "God did." But Chidinma knew Nancy wasn't the type that prayed her way into things. She had heard the rumors: an older man, money, trips to Abuja and Dubai. That night, Chidinma couldn't sleep. She lay in her small hostel bed staring at the ceiling, her cracked phone screen lighting her face as she whispered, "God, please just bless me small. I'm tired." A few days later, her chance came. Nancy walked into her boutique, dressed in a flowing white jumpsuit, holding the same iPhone 17 that had haunted Chidinma's dreams. "Babes, you still dey work here?" she asked casually. Chidinma forced a smile. "You know say I need am. Hustle must pay." Nancy laughed. "You're too fine for this kind life. See, if you package small, I fit link you up with someone. You will never have to stress like this again." Those words landed softly like an invitation wrapped in gold. Later that evening, Nancy added her to a WhatsApp group titled Soft Babes Connect. It was filled with pictures of handbags, designer shoes, perfumes, and phones gifts from friends they called sponsors. Chidinma scrolled for hours, her chest tight with a mixture of envy and excitement. The next day, Nancy sent her a private message. "Babe, Alhaji Sul is in town. He's calm, respectful, and generous. I can talk to him for you if you're interested. Just your time. He's lonely. He will take good care of you." That night, Chidinma's mind wrestled with guilt. Her mother's voice echoed in her head, but her heart kept saying, "It's just one weekend. One weekend and my life will change." She convinced herself it was harmless: a grown man, a dinner, maybe some company. 3 days later, she got a call, a deep, mature voice. Smooth, calm, almost fatherly. "Hello, is this Chidinma?" "Yes, sir. Nancy told me about you. She says you're a smart, beautiful girl." "I like that. I will be in Abuja this weekend. Let's have dinner at Transcorp Hilton. I will send a driver for you." Chidinma's heart raced as she ended the call. The moment she had dreamed of was finally here. She spent the next few days preparing, borrowed a wig from her roommate, did her nails, and even used half her salary to buy a simple black dress that hugged her body perfectly. When Saturday came, a black Prado parked outside the hostel. The driver stepped out, polite and formal. "Madam Chidinma, my boss say make I bring you." Her friends watched from the balcony, whispering and smiling. "Girl, know your time oh." At the hotel, everything smelled of money: the marble floors, the gold-rimmed elevators, even the air conditioning felt rich. Alhaji Sul was tall, with a neatly trimmed beard and a smile that could melt ice. He wore a white kaftan and expensive perfume that lingered in the air. "Welcome, my dear," he said, standing to pull out her chair. They ate, laughed, and talked for hours. He asked about her studies, her dreams, her family. He didn't touch her once, and that made her relax. When it was time to leave, he handed her a small bag. Inside was an envelope of cash, for your transport and hair, he said with a smile. She blushed, whispering, "Thank you, sir." As she turned to go, he added softly, "When next you visit, I will buy you that iPhone 17 you've been eyeing." Chidinma froze. She hadn't mentioned the phone to him. Not once. He smiled again, his eyes calm and knowing. "Don't look so shocked. I can see it in your eyes. You deserve it." And for the first time in her life, she felt seen, truly seen. That night, back in her hostel, she couldn't sleep. She kept replaying his words, imagining herself holding the iPhone 17, taking mirror pictures like Nancy. The next morning, she texted him, "Good morning, sir. About that visit. I'm free next weekend." Chidinma's second meeting with Alhaji felt like stepping into a dream. Everything happened too fast: the plane ticket, the hotel booking. When she told her roommates she was traveling to Abuja for the weekend, she said it was for a work event. Nobody questioned her, they only smiled knowingly. That Friday morning, she stood at the airport clutching her small handbag and a nervous smile. It was her first time boarding a plane, and as the aircraft took off, she whispered, "God, please don't let me make a mistake." When she landed in Abuja, a driver was already waiting. "Madam Chidinma," he asked politely, then helped her with her small luggage. The ride to the hotel was quiet. She stared out the window, mesmerized by the city's lights, tall buildings, and expensive cars. At the hotel, Alhaji was waiting in a perfectly ironed white kaftan. His smile was warm, reassuring. "My beautiful daughter is here," he said jokingly, leading her inside. They had dinner together: grilled fish, jollof rice, wine. He listened when she spoke, laughed at her jokes, and even told her about his businesses abroad. He never mentioned anything inappropriate. When dinner ended, he said, "I got you a small gift." He reached into a drawer and brought out a small, white apple box. Chidinma's breath caught. She covered her mouth in disbelief as he handed it to her, an iPhone 17. Brand new, still sealed. For a moment, the world stopped spinning. She felt dizzy, not from fear, but from joy. He smiled, eyes glinting softly. "You deserve nice things, my dear. You've been through enough. I just want to make you happy." She thanked him, and they went to sleep. They were all over themselves that night. When it was over, she turned away quietly, staring at the ceiling. By morning, Alhaji was cheerful again. He handed her an envelope thick with cash and a flight ticket back to school. "You're a sweet girl, Chidinma," he said, kissing her forehead. "We will see soon." Back in her hostel, she became a celebrity overnight. Her roommate screamed when she unboxed the phone. "Oh, iPhone 17. Chidinma, you don't blow." She smiled, knowing she could finally take clear pictures, post beautiful selfies, and get the kind of attention she had always wanted. She barely slept, always scrolling, taking pictures, replying to new DMs. Her followers grew. Boys who once ignored her suddenly flooded her inbox, but soon, the excitement began to fade. It started with a mild stomach pain on the fourth night. She thought it was food poisoning. But by the next day, the pain grew sharper, spreading to her chest. She couldn't eat. Her skin felt hot and cold at the same time. She texted Alhaji, telling him she wasn't feeling well. He replied with one line, "Rest, my dear. It's normal." By evening, her roommate, Amora, noticed she hadn't eaten all day. "Babe, you sure say you dey okay?" "I'm fine," Chidinma murmured, clutching her stomach. But deep inside, she knew something wasn't right. That night, she woke up to a strange feeling, like something crawling under her skin. She scratched her arm until it bled. Then she felt it again, movement. Tiny, twisting movements in her stomach. She gasped, ran to the bathroom, and vomited. Her body trembled violently as she leaned over the sink, crying silently. When Amora rushed in, she found her sitting on the floor, shivering. "Chidinma, what's wrong?" she cried. Chidinma looked up, eyes wide with fear. Her voice came out weak, almost broken. "I don't know, but something like worm is moving inside my body." Some days passed and it was becoming serious. At first, everyone thought it was malaria. Chidinma had started looking weak, pale skin, trembling hands, constant fever, but in Abuja, sickness was common. By the fifth day, she couldn't hide it anymore. Her cheeks had sunk in, her lips were dry and cracked, and her stomach had gone flat like someone who hadn't eaten in weeks. Yet she kept saying, "I'm fine." When her mother called, she pretended to sound cheerful. "Mama, I'm fine, oh, it's just stress." But her mother's spirit was unsettled. "Chidinma, my heart is not at peace. You sound weak. Should I come?" "No, Mama. I'll be okay." But she wasn't. That night, the pain returned sharper, deeper, like something was trying to tear its way out. She pressed her stomach and felt movement. Not gas. Not cramps. Amara rushed her to a nearby clinic. The nurse checked her blood pressure and frowned. "Have you taken any strange drugs? Or eaten anything unusual?" Chidinma shook her head. They ran tests. Nothing showed. Her blood count was fine, but her body kept failing. Within 2 days, she couldn't walk without support. She stopped going to class. Her skin began to peel, faint, thin layers around her arms and neck. Then one morning, Amara noticed something horrifying. Chidinma's bedsheet had small, moving dots, like tiny white worms. She screamed. "Jesus! Chidinma! What is this?" Chidinma looked at her arm and froze. Tiny, thread-like worms were crawling out from her paws. She screamed until her voice broke, clawing at her body as Amara ran out to call for help. When they took her to a bigger hospital, doctors gathered, confused. They couldn't explain it. No open wound, no infection they could trace. They cleaned her skin, gave her injections, and still the worms returned. Next evening, her mother arrived from soccer, eyes swollen from crying. She stood by her daughter's bed, shaking. "Chidinma, what happened to you?" Tears rolled down Chidinma's face as she whispered, "Mama, I didn't do anything. I only wanted a phone." Her mother fell to her knees beside the bed. "Which phone, my child?" Chidinma pointed weakly to the bedside drawer. Inside was the iPhone 17, shining as if it had never been touched. The nurses avoided it. They said each time they tried to move it, the light flickered by itself. Her mother prayed non-stop for 3 days. She called pastors, she cried, she begged. But each day, Chidinma grew thinner, weaker, emptier. Her eyes began to sink so deep they almost disappeared. Then came the smell, faint at first, then stronger. Her body began to rot while she was still breathing. The doctors didn't understand it. They said her internal organs were shutting down, but they couldn't explain the rate. Her mother stopped sleeping. She sat beside the bed, clutching her rosary, whispering, "God, please, take me instead." But sometimes at night, Chidinma would whisper strange things. She said she saw Alhaji standing in the corner of her room. Smiling, she said he told her, "You got what wanted now. Rest." By the 7th day, the worms had spread across her body. She barely spoke anymore. Just weak murmurs and tears. Her voice cracked as she screamed one last time, "Mama, help me." Then she went still. For a long time, the room was silent. Her mother held her, shaking her lifeless shoulders, screaming her name over and over, "Chidinma, wake up." The nurses came running, but it was too late. They buried Chidinma in her mother's compound in Saka. Quietly, no makeup, no fancy coffin, no phone in her hand, just a girl who once had dreams bigger than her pocket. The doctors refused to sign her death certificate at first. They couldn't write worms crawling out of her skin as a cause of death, so they wrote unknown infection. But her mother knew what killed her: greed mixed with innocence. And a wicked man's hands. The news didn't spread far, just whispers. "Did you hear about that girl from Abuja? She died mysteriously after meeting an Alhaji." Days turned into weeks. Her mother refused to return to her shop. She sat every evening at the doorstep, staring into the sky, whispering, "Why, my child, Lord?" She was only 22, but she couldn't turn back the hands of time. She became a preacher in the University of Abuja, urging young girls to be content with what they have, urging them to avoid bad friends and always wait for God's time. She used her daughter Chidinma as example each time she preached. Some of them listened, while some said, "I beg, leave that old woman. I must live my life in full." Food for thought. We always have to be content with what we have. Envy kills, and that is what led Chidinma to her early grave. She wanted to belong to the League of Happening Babes, but where is she today? Thanks for watching, and don't forget to drop a beautiful comment, like, and subscribe to my channel for more interesting stories. I am Christy Midnight Tales. See you again in my next video.